How do I know we're live if you're not signed in?
We are just gonna hope
It's
that you
a
know
question.
what you're doing.
It's like if a tree falls in the forest, nobody heard it. If Lexi goes live and Chloe is not there to tell her she's actually live, do we know she's live at all?
We do, because I bet other people will say things.
They're not right now.
Not.
Nope. See?
Kelly Judy.
See? No, okay. We've got three people. Now I know I'm live.
Now you know you're live. That's right. So we should say hi.
I'm coming to you from the office I work in. I have to say that because there are two offices, but now one that is the front office that someone else works in.
Yes, but
I am in this office because the light's better. Not right now, like during the day.
yes.
And now it's got butterflies
Big
over
sunny
it.
window.
Hi. I'm here tonight because I can't be here next week when Enchanted actually comes out. So I haven't done one in a while, and I wanted to say hi. It's we've had a lot of books come out since the last time we did this.
Because when
It was way before I went on vacation.
So probably was the Bliss book was Chasing Bliss probably came out since then, and
Chasing, Siren Unleashed
came out since then. I'm trying to think of it. And and then After Pleasure of the President.
Oh,
yes.
Did I not do a live for the? Oh no, we were in Paris.
Paris when it came out. So
ooh, that was bad. We should have timed that better. Okay.
We did.
So I am here. I'm saying hello to everyone, and we're going to get started with a couple of questions. Like I said, just pop in and ask me what you want to. If it's a terrible question, I will probably pretend like it didn't happen. But mostly I'll answer them.
Yes, because we have some that we got from.
So we'll get that started.
Yes.
So that while everybody else is formulating their questions. Okay, what do we got?
Okay, first one from Chelsea and the Dobson Dolls. How many books do you expect for the Thieves universe? A bunch.
A bunch.
Yeah.
I mean, my plan, like how much?
Elaborate a little bit.
How long do I have these planned out?
Oh, years. I would guess at least another 5 to 10 more books.
She's crazy if she thinks I'm gonna stop then. I still have kids to get through, and Murden's still around, and he's causing trouble, and we think that everything's great with Gray and Kelsey and Trent, but now they got a kid to raise. What? So yeah, I don't expect to. That's one of the series I don't expect to end. So
it is one that can go on for a long time, especially in the form of.
Ooh, there was a mad face.
A mad face?
Oh, I already made somebody mad.
There is a mad face.
I already made someone mad. That doesn't mean that there's actually problems with Gray and Kelsey and Trent. Dude, tap the brakes. It just means there could be. Like, it's life.
That is what you got.
They're fine. They're great. They're totally fine. Outer issues might come up. That's the only way you keep a series going. Okay.
Okay.
Dude, if I got mad faces now, I'm really not going to do one after Robert's book. I'm going to go underground for a while.
Yeah, because that ending, Robert's book. The few people who have read it know the ending is pretty crazy.
Ooh, see, now oh no, there's a sad one. Gosh, that makes me sad. I'm making people sad.
Oh, you're having some tears, but lots of hearts and.
Now I'm just watching the emojis go. Okay, ask another question so maybe I can make people happy again.
Do you base your characters in your books, besides Ian, on people you know?
Yes.
Yes.
Here's the thing. Not all of them, obviously, but probably a lot of the characters who, if they're really, really vivid, I probably have somebody who's somewhat close to that. Mel is based on somebody that we both know.
Yes.
And he's awesome. And
he's a little
really weird, but awesome. He's great. But he is actually more worried about a zombie apocalypse. He's not worried about aliens, so I did change that a little bit. But my husband is an asshole. I know that we have talked about this before. And so he goes through Mel's house telling him, as Mel is explaining to him all the places he's got weapons that's going to be okay for the zombie apocalypse. My husband, who is the asshole, points out, well, but you sleep on a bed and somebody can get under there. And so that is now why this guy has a steel plate underneath his mattress. I'm not joking.
And he has like weapons in strategic places
Mm-hmm.
throughout his house, and not what you would think of as a weapon, but like medieval weapons.
Yes. Like he's gonna take that zombie down with like the mace or something.
Yeah, with the thing that hangs on the chain,
Yeah.
that's got the ball
Mhm.
with all the spikes on it, just
Mhm.
strategically placed around the house. So yeah.
Ooh, and long-haired Roger is a guy I met on a cruise, and he is in fact bald.
Yes.
Mm.
And did you meet?
No, obviously Corey and Sarah are based on the Corey and Sarah that you know. You have shown up a couple of times,
Okay.
Chloe Phil.
Yes, I have.
You have.
Mhm.
She's what? Liv,
Mhm.
Olivia from Hunter, and I, you know, her. She's kind of a little solo in her too.
Which is cool. I like
Yeah.
solo. Yes. Okay. Do you have plans for other series going forward? So maybe this would be a good time, and then I'll look at these questions.
Okay.
And then, so then maybe you could talk about a little bit about Butterfly Bayou, since that is.
Okay. Well, Butterfly Bayou is coming up. It releases next April 7th. It's done. It's got a cover. It's got everything. It does not have a pre-order.
But we're hoping soon.
We're hoping soon. So Butterfly Bayou is obviously, for anybody who read Close Cover, is based on the town that Close Cover is set in, which is this little tiny town called Papillon, Louisiana. And I will finally finish. Years ago, I wrote this book called, the first one was Cherished. And it had Will Daly. And I'm finally giving his final sister her happily ever after. And then all of Will's sisters are married off. And all the Daly clan will be happy. But yeah, so look for that. That's probably the only new thing I'm going to start. I've got a lot of older stuff I need to catch up with.
Yes. And so somebody just asked, will Ian and Mel ever have any scenes together? But they kind of already have.
They have had a couple of scenes together. Am I ever going to write one from like that POV? I don't know. We'd see. I'm going to promise you, I will probably never write a scene from Mel's POV. And I will never write a scene from Mel's POV because there's a mystery about Mel. Now, that does not mean that Mel won't come up again. Mel's got some secrets that Mel doesn't even know. They're going to come up. And I hinted around a little tiny bit in Jax's book.
Yes.
When they met.
Lost Hearts. In
Lost Hearts, there's a little tease about something that's going to hit Mel like straight in the balls.
But if you haven't read Lost Hearts, there's Mel introduces Ian to his tonic, and it's a really funny scene the next day.
It's very refreshing.
Ian is very hungover and
yes, super hungover because Mel's tonic is rock gut whiskey.
Yes.
It keeps away the aliens.
Yes. And
Ian, as we all know. And beats. And
Ian gladly had some of it, drank some of it. And
Ian is a really open guy. The world to Ian is like a place to entertain him. Mel is super entertaining.
Super entertaining. He was willing to get really
well, and Mel, there's what's our date for Once Upon a Time? Once Upon a Time in Bliss does have a pre-order, and it's coming out July something.
July around the 16th.
Sometime in July, Once Upon a Time in Bliss is coming out, and it's got a really great did that happen or didn't that happen with Mel? You have to read it and see what you think.
July 16th.
July 16th. Okay. But I went back through, and weirdly enough, it's so weird to go back after you've written something and it's been 7 or 8 years. I had forgotten how emotional that book is, and how much I really, really like Nell. So hopefully, if you haven't read it, you'll go back because it really get to see Bliss before Bliss was Bliss. Well, Bliss is always Bliss, but before the happily ever afters, and kind of where some of those came from.
We had a question and this is just a quick one that you can answer.
Uh-huh.
Why, if everything's ready for Butterfly Bayou, why is it such a long wait? And
welcome to New York Publishing.
It's New York Publishing, and
so Butterfly Bayou is being published by Berkeley. Berkeley, they always run about a year out.
Yeah.
I actually finished Butterfly Bayou in January. They are doing some repackaging and some rebranding on it. And that is why. So yeah, those New York books are always run about, it takes New York about a year from even when I turn it in to when they actually publish. And I don't know. That's your next one. Why? Lexi, I don't know. It's a mystery. It's a mystery. I see one. Will I ever do a series of books for the Masters Mercenaries kids?
And
yes.
Then a tag-on question to that is, how long do we have to wait for that?
A little while. So first of all, we're going to finish up. We've got 2 more books after Robert's book. We've got 2 more books in The Forgotten. So that'll be, the first one will come out in February of next year. And then the last book in The Forgotten will be August. And then we are going to boot the entire universe forward. So we're going to go forward about 7 years, 5 to 7 years. The kids are going to be a little bit older, and a lot of Tinsmen who were very young when we started, they will start getting their books. So expect, I'm going to say this, don't hold me to it, but the first book is probably going to be Hutch. And
he's been waiting a long time.
Yes, but he's also very young.
He is young.
He's young. We've got Hutch, we've got Michael Malone, we've got JT Malone. We have a bunch of those little side characters, Deke, Bear, who they'll play out. But what we're gonna do something kind of interesting, and we're gonna, in each of those books, it's gonna be Masters Mercenaries Reloaded. In each of those books, we're gonna go and we're gonna check in on a couple from the older books. So that
kind of be working with them.
They'll kind of be working with them in some way. So we'll maintain that being in touch with the older characters too.
We're very excited about Hutch. Lots of woohoo!
Candyman.
Yeah, Candyman finally gets his book. So we answered that. Someone asked me about Courting Justice.
I'm talking about. We've got one more book in Courting Justice. It's Snow and Margarita. I'm going to write it. It's just a question of fitting it in.
You had another question. Will Mel, you kind of already answered, will Mel ever have a whole?
No.
He will never have a whole book.
No, Mel is a beautiful mystery, and he's going to stay that way.
Someone asked, any more cookbooks?
Probably, yes. I probably want to do a Bliss one at some point and do a Stella's Diner cookbook, and that way we can go back and retouch all those characters too and see what's up with them.
And we talked about like doing, because Trio also has food, so like
yeah.
Trio.
So it's bar food and diner food.
Yeah, so that would be fun.
And we might try to do that next year. I don't know. We'll see.
Yes. Let's see. Which of your characters was the hardest to write? I already know the answer to this.
Julian Lodge.
Julian Lodge. She went through this Julian Lodge phase.
Yeah. You know what? It's Julian Lodge and Damon Knight. There are some times when the character just shuts down and won't talk to me. And those 2 characters are the epitome of that. A lot of people think Ian would be hard. Ian's an open book. Like, I can write Ian in my sleep. Damon and Julian were so shut down and broken that they were very difficult to write. Weirdly enough, Erin's not hard to write. I know that Erin's really broken down, but for some reason, I can get into her head really easy.
Well, and she pretty much says whatever.
Yes. You know what? It's so easy when you've got a character who just says whatever comes into their head. So in that particular case, I love writing those characters. It's one of the reasons why Declan Finn, who is from Thieves, is one of my favorite characters to write. Dude has no filter. None whatsoever. He's so much fun. He has no filter. He does not care. He's going to be the king of fairy someday, and he does not care. So it's fun. His mouth gets him in a lot of trouble. Okay.
Will we see any of the PGs and the next Lost Boys books?
No, you won't see them, but they'll be around.
They'll be around. They'll definitely be mentioned. So, let's see. Titles.
Will Corey ever get to punch Sean? No. That's mean.
That's mean. Even though she would like to.
I know she would.
Yes.
No.
Titles. How do you come up with them? Do you start out a new book with the title already in mind, or does it develop organically as you write? I want to say something for you. Can I say something?
Yeah.
So many, many years ago, probably the 3rd novel you ever wrote is a still untitled
Oh, that's right. Still
Really?
Untitled Wolf Story.
It was a wolf
Yeah.
story.
No, it was a
many years
werewolf
ago,
story.
So yeah, so I don't think it's a good idea to get through the whole book and not have a title. 'Cause
No, it's terrible.
Never came up with a title for that book.
Yeah, no,
ever.
never did, and it will stay under my bed forever.
Mhm.
Even though I loved it, I did, but it's
It
not.
was a good.
But
it was,
no,
yeah, no, it
it's
was
not a
good.
great, well written book. But yeah, it's literally Still Untitled Wolf Story.
It's still untitled books.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Sometimes titles come very super easy, and the title is almost exactly why I want to write the book. Sometimes I come up with really, really cool title names, and nobody understands what I'm saying, and I have to retitle them. Yeah.
Yes, that was.
Yeah.
Those were super cool titles, though.
They were cool titles, but apparently they did not say romance.
Yes.
Apparently not a lot of people want to have to go and translate their titles.
Yeah.
Anyway, but obviously the James Bond titles were all taken from Bond movies. If you don't know, if you go through the first 15 Mattress and Mercenaries main storyline books, they're all refer to James Bond in some way. And I'm going to play around with that a little bit with Reloaded too. I've run out of James Bond titles because nobody wants to read Octodom. But I've got some really cool kind of spy-like titles coming for Reloaded. Sometimes it's just about kind of the feel of the book. Enchanted, in particular, there's a masquerade and there's a lot of stuff going on, and so it's almost a little fairy tale. So that's kind of where that came from.
Any more talked books?
If I have time, yes, because I've got one character I left out there, and this might happen again when I do the time job. But I need to do something with Lincoln, who was the bartender who loved feng shui. I need to do something with him. So yeah, I probably will get back to it. I got a little off track because I've done all the Sophie books, but all of the Sophie books should be out by the end of the year.
We're going to have done
24 books
in
2 years.
Insane. It has been insane. But
yeah.
Okay, so we had a question that scrolled up there someplace about writing new Bliss and Texas Sirens books.
Yes.
And then can you also mention in that book Harper, because there was another question, will Brooke ever get a book?
Yes, but Brooke again is young, so that will probably come after a time jump.
Yeah, but definitely more Bliss and Sirens.
And I already, the first book, I don't know, I've got a title for it. I'm a little worried about it. I love the title because Nell and Henry's first book is Once Upon a Time in Bliss. Well, the first Bliss book that comes after this is going to be Nell and Henry. Now, because Nell has had the longest pregnancy in recorded time. Like, Nell has been pregnant since 2014, at least 2013.
But just think that you paused your
we just paused
right there.
So it's not like Nell is having an elephant pregnancy or super elephant pregnancy.
I think it's even longer than that.
She would protest heartily.
Yeah.
So
it was just a pause.
Yeah, it's just a little baby pause. So I really, really want to title it Happily Ever After in Bliss, but I'm worried that people will think that means that the series is over. So we'll see. We'll see where we come out with that, because it's not over. I've got a whole bunch of stuff I want to do with Bliss, but that Nell and Henry book coming back is going to be a lot of fun because it's going to have a definite crossover with Masters and Mercenaries, and it could have a crossover with PG too. So,
what book should be a starter if you're going to pick a
The
starter
Dom Who
book
Loved
for
Me.
yours? Yeah, Dom Who Loved Me. It is free. If you've never read it,
Mm-hmm.
you can download the ebook copy for free.
If you like urban fantasy, Still the Light, but those would be the two that I would probably start with.
Yeah. I think we got all this.
Damon needed a linguist. Yes, he did.
He did need one.
He needed somebody who could break him down and figure out how to talk to him, how to speak his language, because it was a foreign language.
Once it fade, must have a different gestation period.
That's right.
That's right. So,
Yeah, and I'm really sad because going back and reading through, I'm not going to have the 3 fairy stories out until probably September. And I really wish that they were out before Nell's book because you get a little hint of who Nell really is. And that's kind of how I play around with the connections between the contemporary worlds and the supernatural worlds.
somebody asked, or will there be more fairy story books?
Yeah, you know what? I've got one I need to write, and that's Gillian. That's Gilly's story. I left Gilly basically on the run from 2 really super hot vampires. So yeah, we'll get back to that. It's a book that's going to be called Bounty. If I've got a title for it, I'm probably going to write it.
Yes, that's something. Cherie asked, was Butterfly Bayou always intended to be a series? Do you enjoy when your characters speak so loudly that it gives you years of fodder?
I don't know that I specifically intended on doing a series, but
you populated it.
So I did
if you wanted to. So
it's one of those things. Whenever you deal with a small town, if you don't have like a whole bunch of people in it that you could potentially work with, why write a small town? So, I knew it was there and Berkeley wanted to do it. So that was kind of where we went from there. And I'm really happy. I'm about to start writing actually the 2nd book in that series. I know there'll be 3 books in Butterfly Bayou and we'll see where it goes from there.
Will there be more Masters of Menage?
Probably. We're definitely going to do their Virgin Bride.
Yeah.
And then we'll see where we go from there. My only problem is that we've got 2 crazy busy schedules, so getting that together, as you saw with the finishing up PG, can be difficult. I'm dying to know what happens with my Italian vampire. December, you'll find out.
December, yes. Which are your top 3 heroines, and which are your favorite 3 heroines, and why? That's
hard because that's like asking me which of my children I love more.
Just kidding.
Zoe's my favorite.
Zoe, yeah.
Zoe's my favorite because Zoe was the first.
Yes.
Zoe was the first, and Zoe came about for very emotional reasons. If you ever read the dedication to Thieves, the first book of Thieves, you'll understand why. So Zoe is definitely my favorite. I love Charlotte. I write Charlotte a lot, but I also love Nell. So I guess that what I would really say is if I'm pinned down, it would be Zoe, Charlotte, and actually Avery. And Avery is because Avery is who I kind of hope we all are if given that same situation. Ooh, there's just a question of what. I get to answer that. What?
Yeah, I'm sure that was.
That was probably in response to something horrible I said.
Okay, do you have a favorite author you like to read?
I have a couple of favorite authors. I've been obsessed with Sarah J. Maas lately.
Yes,
super obsessed with Sarah J. Maas.
Sat down and read.
I read
all of them.
And I tried to get Chloe to read them. Ask if she's read them. No.
Yeah, I don't read very much outside of working.
No.
So, no. But we talked the other night.
I love that. Let Nell give birth.
That's right.
Free Nell's womb. Free Nell's womb.
We talked the other night when we were way too drunk after our movie about starting a book club.
I don't know what she's talking. Oh dear God, we did.
Yes, we did, and that.
I do not remember that. I'm going to be honest. I'd been really, really good before that night. It had been a long time since I'd had a drink before that night. That night went by fast. Okay. Nell is April the giraffe. She is.
She is. Okay. Jennifer Zephyr asks, knowing that you just wrapped up writing a book because she lost a new, do you give yourself any downtime before you start the next? And if yes, what do you do to refresh yourself before diving back in?
Well, so right now.
Funny thing is, remember that 24 books in 2 years? The
downtime is spent editing the Sophie books. I took 2 weeks off earlier in the year, and I really did. I took them off. I went to Paris, and I went with my husband and my daughter, and then my husband and I continued on to Germany with some friends of ours. So I actually did take 2 weeks off this year. Like, I didn't write words. I didn't read anything. I was a tourist. That was actually quite refreshing. If you have the spare change to hop on board and head to Europe, it'll do you some good. What you like?
Oh no, sorry. Someone
you had like a face on.
It was a good idea. I like it. How
What?
about for the Nell Henry's book, One More Time in Bliss?
I'll think about that.
Because then it definitely.
I just don't. I've done some stuff that made people apparently think that I ended the series completely, and I'm not allowed to ever do that again. I think probably because I said it was the last book.
Yes,
Except I didn't mean it that way. It was the last book in this like little portion.
Yes.
Like, I don't think, when have I ever actually ended a series?
PG.
Oh no, but that had to end because that had like, thank you,
had
Chloe.
Yes, but I mean, that had an end date.
You
You're
see?
only president for so long.
No,
You can
that's
only be
true.
President for so long.
That's
so.
true, which is why I need Solo to work fast.
That's right. Okay, so someone's asking about a reading list for the Sophie books now that they're edited to include the different series. That is available if you go to the Lexi page, click on books. The very top, there's a combined reading order list that has everything in order that you should read it in. So it includes Masters Mercenaries, Top, Sanctum Knights, all
of them.
Yeah, all of
There's
them.
a combined reading order. When you do it, don't yell at me about the timeline because things get fucked up. Okay.
But slightly, which we do. We try to.
It's like you need to go with soap opera time.
That's right, soap opera time.
Yeah.
When do we get to look at the cover of Robert's book?
Okay. The cover reveal is the 17th, right? No, the 28th.
Something like that. Something right around there.
It's already up at Amazon.
Yeah, we had to.
But you'll get an excerpt.
Yes.
On the 27th. But if you want to see the cover of Robert's book, it's already up at Amazon and iBooks, and it's up all those places.
And this will be the first look that you get of the book outside of beta. I mean, the only people who've read it up to now are
the beta readers and Ryan.
Ryan.
Right. Ryan read it.
Yeah, because he's recording.
Ryan's recording it right now. So
yeah.
And for anybody who hasn't listened to Eminem on audio, Ryan West is amazing, and he does literally does the best job. He's brilliant. He always he does his research, and he should be very happy that this time I gave him a book that was almost entirely set in Germany, and I didn't make him speak German.
There's one. It's not even German.
Is there one?
There's
one. It's Russian.
Russian
or Romanian.
Something like that, yeah.
I think it's Romanian.
One, and that's it.
That's all I did to him. And I have done horrible things to him before. And one book alone, I made him speak Finnish, German.
Something.
There were like 4 different languages I made him speak, and he did them all.
Y'all might be able to guess which one that was. But
it was Royale.
It was done, yeah.
Anyway, if you get a chance to listen, Ryan does a spectacular job.
If you could live in one of the universes you have created, which one would it be and why?
Oh, I would live in Thieves because I would be the queen of all vampire, and I would have 2 beautiful, beautiful lovers, and one of them would be a fairy sex god.
That's right.
What? I would, and I would have a butler. Zoe's life is pretty sweet except that she almost gets killed all the time.
That's right, except for the monsters.
Monsters, and sometimes she gets kicked out of cars that are going 70 miles an hour, and if you discount all of that, Zoe's got the sweet life.
Okay, so there's a question about, do you guys have a link to buy merchandise outside of shirts?
We have a Zazzle store.
And there's a link on the website.
There's a link on the website, but we're actually planning on trying to do some of that ourselves and bring down the cost a little bit. But we've got a new website going up in July, and we'll have an e-commerce site on that too.
For sure, it will have
signed books and
copy mugs,
yep.
and some shirts, and so maybe some other stuff. But someone said Flemish. That was
there you go.
There, so, yeah. Stacy McClellan wants to know, What upcoming diabolically planned book or series are you most looking forward to being released? I'm super excited about Robert and Ariel, Nell and Henry, but I know you've also been baking Butterfly Bayou and more additions to Sirens and Bliss. So which one are you most looking forward to?
Okay, what are we talking about when we say looking forward to? Are we talking about like the reaction that I'm gonna get or are we talking about like, oh, I think everybody's gonna love this book. Enchanted is gonna be a sweet book that everybody will love, and you're just going to close that and you'll be happy.
Yes.
And you'll be like,
really
Lexi, thank you. This was a really super sweet book.
And then you get Lost in You next. Well, no, then you get some Sophie, but then you get Lost in You.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
they're in Munich. That's all I'm gonna say. Let's clear up some stuff. So I need y'all to stop thinking about these books as having cliffhangers and start thinking about them as having like next time on. It's a little preview. It's just like a TV show. It's a little baby preview where it's next time on. So that's what I want you to be thinking about when you read Lost in You. Also, I'm going to tell you the people who are going to flip their shit at the end of Stealing Summer. I'm going to tell you where to stop.
Yes,
I am. I'm going to write it in, and I'm going to tell you exactly where to put the book down, and then it'll be fine. Oh no, mad face. God, I'm so deeply disturbed by the little mad faces.
But she really will tell you when to stop because it's going to be the twist at the end is going to be
you won't stop
of that one. So
like it's the meanest thing I've ever done.
It might. It really might be.
It's way meaner than Lost in You.
And
I'm just saying.
And also meaner than Master No.
Okay, Master No wasn't mean. I let you know he was alive. Master No was fine.
What song would you sing at karaoke?
So, Sweet Child of Mine.
Without a doubt. She's done it.
I've done it before.
Never had a chance to.
Yep.
If you go to a conference,
if you go to a conference and get me drunk enough, I will get up and sing Sweet Child of Mine.
Without. Will Closet Clown be happy with the renovations to its closet?
I'm gonna kill Closet Clown. It's still here somewhere in this house. They have moved freaking Closet Clown, and it is waiting to get me at any time. You know, my husband does that. He gave Closet Clown an actual Facebook page.
He does, and he posted the other day a message to you about those renovations, which is what they are probably talking about. So
yes,
the closet is going to be cool.
So I'm seeing some of these come up that I think are like from a long time ago. They're talking about so far. Well, we do be doing more Rising Storm stories. I actually didn't create Rising Storm. That was Julie Kenner. I don't know. At this point, I don't think so. I think they kind of closed that off.
Yeah. I think so. And then there was one that went by also. Will you?
Oh, hey, Kitty Bang is going to do Bliss. Just so y'all know, we're going to start recording Bliss in July, late June, early July, and Kitty's going to.
And there's going to be a Mel. It'll be two, and it's not Ryan.
No, because
he's really busy. But he was.
It'll be great. It'll be great.
That we picked was
and Kitty will be wonderful.
And let's see, how do you keep yourself motivated to write? What do you do when you're just not feeling it? Do you?
I remember that my children like to eat. Now, what do I do? It's hard, but this is a job. This is my full-time job, and so I don't get to play around and like wait for the muse to come. I wish I did. This last book, I miscalculated, and I ended up having to basically my 2 weeks. I paid for those 2 weeks. I came home and I had to write like I didn't take a day off for 8 weeks.
Yeah.
Something like 35
days.
35 days. That's not 8 weeks, but I didn't take a single day off for 35 days.
3,500 words every day.
What do I do? Sometimes if I can't figure out like what I want to do, I get in the car and I drive until I can. That's kind of where I get a lot. I pick out some songs. Songs tend to kind of push books forward for me.
Release date for Stealing Summer. Don't have an exact.
I don't have an exact date. It'll be late November, early December.
Good.
One of those dates, and I'll if you follow my newsletter, I'll let you know the minute that goes live.
Another question that came by earlier was, do any more crossover books planned?
Not right now. Those crossovers are really, really hard to, obviously the last one took us 2 years in the planning. So I don't have any right now, but I never say never. And I wouldn't mind participating in somebody else's crossover.
It was fun.
It was fun.
Really was fun. Okay. How do
You say next time, I say cliffhanger.
How do you write more than one series at a time? How do you keep your characters straight? How do you remember who belongs in what series? And how does it not drive you crazy, having so many characters running through your brain?
I know there are some authors who pick one series and they just do it until they're finished with the series. I actually don't like to do that. Like, if I'm, like, there are times like I can finish off PG. There's nothing else really to do with PG. I mean, there are the kids, but that's down the line at some point. But we told that story. With something like Masters and Mercenaries, it's more about, like, the family just keeps getting bigger. Whereas PG was about a story. So I don't, but I can't just write the same type of book every time. So that's why I have a couple of different ones going. But these serve different purposes. So Masters and Mercenaries serves my desperate need to write romantic thrillers. I want some action. I want twists and turns, and I want all that stuff with that. When I do some of the novellas, that kind of serves my, I just want to write a little love story that's about a specific thing and doesn't have this huge, overwhelming plot line. It's kind of the same thing with Bliss, although Bliss has some kind of big plot lines, but it's more about that small town feel. And then Thieves serves my need to write supernatural stuff. I need that ability to switch off because that it feeds something inside me. How do I keep up with it? She keeps up with it. And sometimes we have very large Bibles. And we just have a lovely young lady named Maria who just wrote the Bible for Thieves. She just went through all of it, all 9 books, and in total detail. It took her months. So.
We had a question about the book of short stories with, like, Sweet Child of Mine and all that. An update on it? So no date right now,
but we got plans. We're gonna put it. I've got one more story I really want to put in it. I need to find the time to write it, but then I'll put together everything and it'll all go out in one anthology.
And question about doing an Ianism book. It would be fun.
Okay, the funny thing is, we actually had plans to do this as a calendar. So our first plan was to pick out, because we've got 352 crappy things Ian has said. But that price point was so expensive that we ended up doing this. Might we do it, put it all together as just kind of a Ian witticism someday? Maybe. For now, we're just going to put them up every Thursday and have fun. And we might do, we might split it off, do an odd Thursday where we do Sheehanisms, because Erin's got a lot of great lines.
She does. She is funny.
She really does. Adam's got a lot of great lines too. I need to figure out Adam says or something, because Adam's got a lot of great lines too.
You kind of already answered this. Stealing Summer is not going to be the last book.
No,
it will not be.
Stealing Summer is going to open up a whole lot of avenues for more books.
So which occurred first in your mind, Kenzie's guy being Canadian or Ian making snarky comments about Canada?
No, Ian just makes snarky comments about everybody. I don't know if you've noticed, but the things he says about Europe. Ian is that classic American tough guy who, Ian's got a little Ron Swanson in him, I realized. He's a character from Parks and Rec. Is one of my favorite shows of all time. He's got a lot of Ron Swanson in him, actually. So now, but Ian will have a problem with a Canadian son-in-law. He'd have a problem with any son-in-law, really. He really will.
So someone suggested Adam's Apples. That might be a good title for his
I like that.
thing. Yes, that might be. Okay. Will Kitty, this is going back, will Kitty Bain be the narrator for the Thieves books? The rest of the Thieves books?
Yes.
She will be.
She will. She's going to work on Bliss for a while, and then we'll get back to doing the other.
Finishing up
the
other ones. Yeah, so the rest will be on hold. That was the question.
Yeah.
This is a fun question. List one place and one thing you always think about doing, but always chicken out.
Tattoos.
Yeah, we've talked about that.
I have talked about getting a tattoo for forever, and I always chicken out. Now, there was one time I did not chicken out. This is when Chloe Vale and I were much younger. Let me tell you a story. This was way before we were working together, when we were just best friends. And this is how bitchy Chloe Vale can be. So we decided one night.
It was fun.
We were in our, 30s? Yeah, mid-30s.
Yeah.
Like mid-30s.
Yeah, so we weren't super young.
Yes, but we were smaller.
Well,
we were much smaller than we are
yes.
now. We decided to go and get belly button rings.
Cute.
They were super cute. I had a place to put it then. Like now they would be like, where would we put that? 70 books later sitting in front of a computer. But I used to work out and do things. So we get to the piercing place. And naturally, we're like the oldest freaking people there. We lay down. Chloe does
this
it.
This is a tattoo parlor.
This is it. Yeah, it did piercings too. Chloe sits down, never makes a fucking sound. Doesn't make a sound. She is fine. She looks up and she's like, it was nothing. That hurt like fuck.
She was so mad.
I was so mad at her. Because she's like laughing when they say it, when they finally do it. And I'm like, ah!
Yeah.
She gets up.
Very stoic on this.
She was very stoic.
Yes, I didn't
but,
have it. Yeah.
One of these days we'll get tattoos. We will.
We will. Yes, we will. How is your life different now than you imagined when you graduated from high school?
So different.
Very.
I mean, obviously I thought I was going to, I was a dreamer high school kid who was going to change the whole world. But it's also better. Like, I wouldn't change anything. I did not end up winning a Pulitzer Prize. And I am okay with that. Because what I know now, as I'm older, that I didn't know then, is that having that legitimacy is quite frankly meaningless. Somebody is always going to, especially as an author, and this is specifically to all you authors out there who think, if I can just get the New York Times bestseller mark or something like that. No, there will always be people out there who think because of what you write, and it doesn't matter what you write. If you write mysteries, they'll look down on you. I mean, somebody's always going to look down on you. What I can do now that I'm approaching my 50s that I couldn't do when I was approaching my 20s is not care. Is find that kind of sense of satisfaction in myself that before I would have needed validation from someone else. So, that in some ways is kind of the better thing about being my age than it is being that age. I also thought I'd be thinner. Just saying.
So, someone is just suggesting getting tattoos of all your
I thought
brands.
there'd be less booze, too.
Oh, no, there's so much there. Yeah.
I did.
Yeah.
Like, back then, I did not drink this much. I started that after children. Oh, no, there's still sad faces.
Getting tattoos of all the brands. When we were in line one day for a ride at Universal, we planned a tattoo around
the MT.
Yeah, but there was more to it than just the MT, but that was kind of the thought then.
We did. Oh, I'm looking forward to seeing your sleeve, Chloe Wren.
Yes. It's really cool.
How do I keep track of all my chapters, appearances, characters, etc.? That's all in the Bible. One of these days, I'll take a little shot of what a couple of pages of the Bible looks like and show everybody.
Yeah, that would be fun. What parts of Gemma's book reflects parts of you?
You know what? Because I talk a lot about how I love Gemma. I love writing heroines who aren't exactly the norm, so to speak. They're not just the sweet little, I've written plenty of sweet characters, but I guess that a lot of Gemma's toughness, I've been there before where I, kind of push people away. And a lot of Gemma's sarcasm, I sound like that a lot. I liked Gemma. I liked writing Gemma. The same way I liked writing Erin. It was funny because the first time Chasing Bliss came out, I took a lot of heat for them. A lot of people at that point said that Gemma wasn't feminine enough. And I'm like, no, Gemma is like a lot of females. I know, it's just feminine rage. But the funny thing is, when I left that Sophie Oak kind of world and came into the Lexi Blake world, everybody accepted Erin, who is a lot like Gemma, except that she shoots people. So it was fun to kind of get out of that smaller world, come into the wider world, and have more acceptance. Maybe it's just that it's been a couple of years and women are angrier. So.
Someone is asking for Stealing Summer bedtime story. Definitely when it comes.
When I start writing it, yes.
It's not,
I actually start on, no, I have to write Butterfly by You, and then I start. So my writing schedule right now is I probably am going to be done with the first part of the first draft of Stealing Summer, probably about mid-September, and then it comes out late November, early December. Yeah.
And you'd mentioned already, but in case anyone missed it, Masters of Menage.
Yeah, but it'll probably be next year.
That would be Bride.
That'll be their Virgin Bride.
Good. I know you love to watch TV and movies. Have you ever written for a TV show or film, and you plan to do so? I'd support your efforts.
Huh?
That she'd support your efforts
awesome.
if she did it.
Actually, I've got a couple of ideas. It's just a question of finding time to write them. I love TV, and the reason I love TV is I love the long form storytelling. Movies, it's almost like I get just enough time to get in to the world and it's done. So obviously I watch a lot of TV, as anybody who was at that Berkeley Geek Revolution thing now knows. Now knows that I watch way too much TV.
She was so worried about this. She didn't think she was going to.
Well, but I didn't get any of the damn Jane Austen questions right. But boy, I knew who was married to the Flash. So if I ever had the chance, yes. I mean, I think that's what, at one point in time, writing TV is what I really wanted to do. Now I think I've been a novelist too long, and I don't have to I am the only people who I'm subject to really is y'all. I don't have like a boss somewhere who says you can't write that. So I think that it would be hard. I kind of like being able to do whatever I want to, except that y'all send little unhappy faces sometimes.
Can you help George R.R. Martin finish Game of Thrones?
I wrote the end of Game of Thrones, didn't I? I told her exactly how it was supposed to end. Now the funny thing was, I told
it is not how it ended.
It's not, and my way would have been better. I also told about when they announced that Big Bang Theory was ending. I sat down and said, "This is how they should end it," and they ended it exactly how I said it was. So, see,
yes,
weirdly enough, Big Bang Theory. But
you could probably get an audience with George R. R. Martin to. Well,
I had this argument. We had this talk. Weirdly enough, in New Orleans, I have a problem with endings that come out of nowhere. They often call them Deus Ex Machina, where something from nowhere comes in and solves the problem. But there's also the ones where if you are going, somebody should be able to go back through and see the through lines. Now, they did that in some ways with Daenerys, but I don't think they broadcast that enough, and I think they waited too long to kind of push her over that edge. So it felt to me like cheating. You don't get to just spring something on an audience and say that it was a twist. It has to make sense. It has to make logical sense. That's why oftentimes, there'll be people who come out and they'll say, well, I figured this out. I figured out your twist in the beginning. I'll be like, then you're a good reader. Then you saw it. There's some stuff in Lost in You that leads straight into the mystery of Tucker.
Yes.
If you read Lost in You carefully, you will know who Tucker is. Yeah. But again, I believe in setting you up to win, not to fail.
Can we look at it?
And we all failed with Game of Thrones. All of us.
Yeah, I don't think nobody.
No, there were people out there who liked it.
Well, no, who predicted that was?
Oh no, you couldn't predict it. Who could predict that?
Have you ever had a character disappoint you and then later wish you had taken a different path?
No, not really. I have done some things that I kind of wish I had gone down a different road. Two in particular that I've talked about in the past, I really do believe. Now, I did not, even though I had a chance to. I think that Siren in Waiting should have been MMF, and Back in Bliss should have been MMF.
Yes.
I am not doing that. The publisher at the time convinced me to switch them to the MFM was really where it needed to be. And when I say that, if you don't know the alphabet soup of menage, an MFM is a menage where the boys share a woman but don't touch. An MMF, everybody plays together. Especially there's a moment in Back in Bliss that, and you can tell where there's an attraction between Seth and Logan that I kind of wish I would have explored. I didn't then. I'm not going to now because I promised that I wouldn't make you rebuy the books if you didn't want to buy them, and that would fundamentally change the storyline. So those are the two times I didn't follow my instincts that I kind of wish I had. Other than that, not really. I mean, there are certainly times when I wish I'd set something up better, but not character-wise.
Someone said, how do you come up with your scenes? Like in the motorcycle scene, I'm assuming that was in Lost and Found, Owen, when he comes up with the motorcycle. I will say that you had that in mind way early, that scene.
There are usually, well, that's the funny thing about a scene. Sometimes I will get a scene in my head, and that will be the whole reason I want to write the book. And then I write the book, and that scene never comes up.
Yeah, that happened.
That just happened. That just happened in Lost in You, and I could not make it work. And it's a little thing that we in the industry called "you have to kill your darlings," because if you try to force it to fit in, that it never works out. You have to. So hopefully at some point in time later on, I will use that vision I had in my head. But in Lost and Found, there's this scene where Owen comes up he shows up in front of the restaurant on this motorcycle. And that's a scene that came fully in my head from listening to the Rolling Stones song, She's a Rainbow. Like I'm driving around and I just see Owen on this motorcycle. So sometimes it's like that. There's often, like the scene from Avery and Liam's book, where I'd wanted to write that specific scenario of her forgiving, that big scene of forgiveness, and I had always wanted to write a scene where the guy who is lying and didn't, he's not real, he's lying to her, and almost always she finds out in some other way, and I wanted him to look at her and say, my name is blah, blah, blah. And he just drops everything in that moment. So that was the specific scene. There's usually a scene I'm working toward in any book.
And in Nate's book, so that would be 2 to Love, the town hall scene where he says...
I wanted to do the town hall scene.
She had that in her mind from the minute she started that book, I think. Maybe
Come on, he was running against the duck.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wanted him to, my name is Nathan Wright. And I don't want to wear a condom either.
That was fun. Jen Taylor says you wrote about Parkland Hospital in one of your books. I'm an OR nurse there. Can you please send me one or two Taggart guys?
They will be there probably the next time. Let me tell you. If unfortunately Lost in You takes place in Munich because there's a body count. I'm just saying.
Yes, there's a body count. And then.
Okay, we're going to wrap up very soon because we've done almost an hour.
Let me see.
Do you have anything?
We already got that one. Let's see. Maybe. Oh, no, I think we're good. I think we got all of them.
Anything else, guys?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree with you on Logan and Seth. I love MMF. I think MMF is the one that makes most sense to me in a menage. That's one of the reasons I love Thieves. I don't know if you haven't read Thieves. Thieves actually ends up in an MMF. That was probably a spoiler.
But
Only to book 2.
Yeah, only to book 2. After that, it's not.
Am I planning to do crossovers with any other authors? No, not really. Not that I have planned on. There are some authors who I'm really close to, who I let them every now and then. Ian shows up in Masters, Admiralty in Trinity Masters. That's always fun. Did I miss anything?
If you did, we will go back.
If I did, I will go back. So, hi, Liz Berry, you are at the end of this. You missed it all. And I talked about you the whole time. I didn't. I just a little baby bit. Well, wasn't there something about my trips and where I was going next?
Yeah, I love seeing the trips you take. Where's your next adventure to?
My next adventure, I'm going to Malta in September.
You are.
So that's going to be exciting. And any place I go and visit is a place that I might murder someone in. So there's always that.
Okay, let's do a couple of them. Have you watched any TV shows that have given you ideas for your books? So you have to, because Enchanted.
Oh, okay. I don't know if anybody has gotten this, but maybe Jared Johns is, well, I just wrote an article for Frolic that'll be out next week, and it's called That Time I Wrote a Romance Novel About Stephen Amell. He's Dart, who is Arrow.
Right.
Yeah, there might been some inspiration from there. But, it's because he's a great actor in the way he's very relatable, and that show had one of the best chemistry between a couple of actors that I've seen in a long time.
Yeah.
But I also make fun of it, and there's a lot of fun being made in Enchanted. So
yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I get a lot of inspiration off of TV. Because I watch so very much of it, but it is certainly specifically in Enchanted. One of the things I want to say about Enchanted is I know I have been at the Garden and around the world for a lot of the Forgotten. So Enchanted is really a great book if you want to come back to Dallas. It's all set in Dallas. It's got pretty much it's a nice little crossover between Masters and Mercenaries and Texas Sirens. So you'll get to see how Ian and Big Tag relate to each other now.
Well, Ian
and Julian.
Ian and Julian.
Big Tag and Julian.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, Julian is one of the only people in the world who can really get Ian's goat.
Yeah. And you see a lot of all the different characters out. I think Adam, Jake, they're all in the book, I think. Just about all the females are definitely in the book, so
yeah.
You get a good.
And I think it's a fun little, almost in a way, you've got the love story in there, but it's almost a reunion book too.
Do you get emotional over the tribulations your characters go through? Good Lord, she can go through some Kleenex.
There's Kleenex over here that I keep. But also my children have gotten used to, I will walk out, my face is puffy red, and my children, they used to be like, oh my God, Mom. Now they're just like, she's at that point, and walk on. Like something terrible could have happened, and my children would think I was writing somewhere.
Yes. And then the last question was from LaTanya.
Uh-huh.
So my question is, how did you incorporate your friends in your books? How did you know if it was safe to include them? Also, how did you pick your crew? No, actually,
I picked my crew because we all had children at the same time, and they realized that that I had followed them from school from the neighborhood. Do you remember that?
I do.
Yeah, that's how Chloe and I met. Was my middle child, her youngest child. They were in playgroup together.
And
our oldest were in kindergarten together.
Yeah.
So basically, because our uteruses worked at the same time, we're here. We decided that year to, have sex with the husbands at some point in time that year and conceive.
That's right.
How do I know it's okay? If I didn't think it was okay, I wouldn't tell them.
And they probably.
But there's and usually if it's if it's a person who's really annoyed me and I kind of put them in, I'm not going to name them after them. So I, most of the time, if the character is based on them, I've usually named them a little bit. There's since Liz Berry is here, obviously there's a character named Liz in At the Pleasure of the President, but I don't know if she remembers that the original character based on her was based on, I named her Georgia because Liz is from Georgia.
Yes.
So yeah, but it has a lot. I almost always, if I'm going to base a character on someone, it's because I love them very much. I don't usually, like the Amandas of the world who I, came up against Charlotte. That wasn't based on anybody. It was based on every mean girl I ever met.
But there is an ex-boyfriend whose name you often use.
Okay.
Bad guy.
Yes. Every bad guy. If you have ever noticed that a lot of my bad guys are named Matt, there's a reason. There's a reason.
There's a reason for that.
He was an ass.
I just want to say to Dawn Messina, she's worried that it's going to be weird to have the kids have boyfriends and girlfriends because they are young, but they're going to age. So. Oh
no. There's going to be a second time jump.
Yes.
So that second time jump we go into when they're like 25, 26.
Yeah. So.
They'll be if anybody has read. I know it's like a unicorn book now. If anybody's, for the 5 people who've read Countdown, it was 5. For the 5 of you who have actually read Countdown, you'll know that I fully intend for Colleen Kinsey to one day join the agency. And so when we time jump that 3rd time, and that'll probably be my last time jump, but there are 64 children. Like they breed like rabbits, so I will be dead before I'm done writing all those kids. I swear. By that point in time, everybody will be pretty solidly in whatever job they're going to be doing. So they will not be like 19 years old.
Yes, no, they will be adults, and you'll get to watch them grow a little bit over the series. So hopefully that won't.
If it still icks you out. I don't know. It's going to be weird to write a 25-year-old because by that point in time, my son will be like 40. And that, like, it seems to go that way. Like, my own child is 24. So, like, 24 is way too young, even though I had him when I was 24.
Yeah.
But now it's like, I look at him, I'm like, somebody just needs to feed him a sandwich.
Yeah, it's kind of right.
There's not, like, I do not see the grand romance there.
No.
But I'm going to try to pretend. We're going to pretend.
That's right. Yes. Yeah, see, a lot of people, there was more than 5 people that just talked about Countdown right there.
Oh, there you go. All right, there are 6 of you.
Yes, and Countdown will be.
Countdown will be in the one that has all of the.
Yeah.
All the short stories in it.
Yeah, so it will get
64 children. How many? We have a lot. We have, and some of them aren't named.
Yeah.
But the
important ones are. I mean.
Yeah, and a lot of those, sadly, a lot of those have to happen off camera because I can't just shove a character into a book because I want to catch up with them. It has to make sense in the book. But that's what kind of some of the stories like Enchanted are about. Especially in my 1001 Dark Nights books, I really like to bring it back to Dallas and kind of look back at the group. But yeah, there have been babies who have been born off screen. Lots of them. I should probably name them, except for Nell's. Nell is not allowed to have children. Nell hopefully will be pregnant until next spring. Yes. And then we will finally finish. Okay. Yeah, we need names for the family tree. You do.
Yes.
I need to give those to y'all. And to who's it? The lovely lady. If you're in Doms and Dolls, there is a beautifully done. Looks like a subway train.
It's really cool.
It's really cool. So anyway, I want to thank y'all. Enchanted comes out next Wednesday. Tuesday. It comes out on Tuesday. I will pop in at probably sometime next week. And then Once Upon a Time in Bliss is up for pre-order. And that is our July book. And then in early August, we get Robert's book. So I hope that I have more happy faces. That's an angry face. No, there were a couple of angry faces. I think I just make people angry. Anyway, thank you. I will see you soon. And bye, guys.
Bye.